I mentioned yesterday that chapters 17 and 18 are actually, in the Hebrew text, connected. So we can do a thesis if you want. I once started working on this and never did much from it, of why each debate between the Jewish tradition and the Christian version of the Bible, why they have different chapters. Like what's the nakuda, what's the point of debate in this chapter? That means whoever the goy thinks that these are two different stories, two different chapters, right? Whereas the tradition puts them all together. So what's exactly two ways of seeing the story? Anyway, there's obviously something in it, but I don't know what it is. Okay, so we mentioned that David's three acquaintances or people who we don't know any previous connection between David and these people. They have been mentioned. For example, Nachash we mentioned was the king of Ammon. So David has a relationship with this guy's father. This guy's father saved one of his family, and so there has been some type of relationship. Yeah. Again, if you remember last time when David sent a delegation, when this Nachash died, he sent a delegation to convey his condolences to the Ammonite family. They suspected David's delegation of spying and insulted them, and that started a war with the Ammonites. And yet still this guy is happy to bring David, so I don't exactly know the politics behind the decision. The second person was the man who looked after Mephibosheth, so that could have been David had a connection with him. And Barzillai Giladi, we've never met him before. But again, it's clear that these people knew David well, and they wanted to support him in his defending him against his son's rebellion. So what did they bring? They brought beds, and they brought sheets, and they brought food, and they brought flour, and all sorts of things to help him for his troops. They brought honey, they brought milk, they brought cheese, they brought what else? Okay, for the people who were tired and in the desert. So starting with chapter 18, yes?
How Christianity answers that question of why these people came. Christianity wants to say that these are people that loved God. And since David HaMelech loved God, that's why they supported him.
Okay. I guess that's true. I guess if they didn't love God, they wouldn't have come, but there's no proof they love God. It's just, why else would you support them? Right? So, okay. Makes a lot of sense.
You don't like it?
No, I didn't say I don't like it. I just that's obvious. And that's not the Chiddush. The Chiddush, what's David's connection with them?
I just told
that's all they know. They never met him in their life?
Yeah, they just love God. Since they love God, they love David.
Why?
Sometimes,
Why did they love David? Why didn't they love Avshalom?
because they love God. Like, I can love Rabbi Leader yourself and go support him. I don't know, I have no connection with him. He's a lover of God, I love God, so let me go help him. It's just that.
Okay. Yeah, it's a bit conjecture. I mean, it makes sense, but it's just made up. It's like what guys do in this class the whole time. Just make up things to answer questions. Right? You know, maybe they like names that begin with a Dalet. They went through the phone book and said, oh, Dalet, I like that name, let's go and support it. It could be anything. It makes sense, that doesn't make it right. Understand? There's no hint in the text or any previous relationship with these guys to know that they would that. I think life's more complicated than that. If they had a connection with David and David introduced them to God, I could hear that. So here I find, yes, Nachash saved David's youngest cousin, right? And David had a great debt of gratitude to him, and that built a relationship with him. So then that's good. You had a relationship with someone. That I think is a good answer. But just to guess that they loved God and that would explain it, yeah, could be.
Is your issue that it come from Christianity or?
No, if you'd say I would have said the same wrong. Like, yes, it's a good guess, but it doesn't make it right. Right? I've said this many times. Just as something answers the question doesn't make it right. Unless there's something indicating that's the right answer. There could be many answers to the question. It could be they share the same birthdays, though. You know, why do guys get married? You go onto a dating site and they said you're suitable because you have the same horoscope. Go. People do that, right? Would that be a good reason for them to come? Could be. You know, it doesn't help Christianity's agenda, and therefore they wouldn't suggest that answer. But that could be the truth. You know, they felt a pull because they had the same mazel. Could be. I think it's also like, it could be, again, we don't make up guess answers just because they answer questions. You get what I'm saying? Okay. All right. But yes, it would be a good answer to the question. So now what happened? And David counted the people who were with him in order to know how many officers you need. You know, every 100 men needs an officer. I have to know how many men there are. Right?
Means to count?
To count, yes. It has many meanings.
So you can't count them in command.
Oh, you can't count them 1, 2, 3, 4. There's ways to count them. Everyone gives a shekel, then you count the shekel. Everyone gives half a shekel, right? There's ways to count. Yeah? The word pakad has got many meanings. It means to visit. It means to remember. It means to count. It means to look after. And they're all related because they're all mean to point something out. Right? To make it different or more special than other people. So that's what happens when you remember someone, or you visit them, or you count them, or even you look after something. Hamafkid, the perek hamafkid, right? Same word, right? It means someone's given you something to take into consideration, to look after, to count. He was going to count it when he comes back to make sure it's all there. It's the same thing. A pakid in the bank. What's the pakid in the bank? The pakid is the guy who's a teller and behind the bank who you're going to give a check, and he's called the pakid. He checks it and counts it. Hashem pakad et Sarah means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu remembered Sarah. It's all the same root. I mean, it's the same root. But here it means to count. David counted the people who were with him, and then, now he knew how many there were, by Asem Alem, he placed upon them, Sarei Alofim, officers of thousands. Doesn't mean 1,000 officers, officers of thousands. Right? That means like a general, who's got 1,000 soldiers underneath him, and then Meos, who is a lower ranking officer who has 100 people underneath him. Right? And that's the way you run an army, right? You have to have people who are in charge and give them instructions. Vayishalach David, now we continue. Vayishalach David esam. David sent the people, it means he sent them out to war. Hashlishis, that means Shlishit.
The third?
Right, very good. The third. That means he divided the army into three divisions. One group, the Shlishis, 1/3, but Yad Yoav, under the control of Yoav. Yoav was the head of the whole army. He was in charge of this group. That Shlishis, another third, but Yad Avishai, who was Yoav's brother, the son of Tzuruya. Achi Yoav, it says, brother of Yoav. That Shlishis, and another third, for some reason or other, this Shlishis doesn't have a Yud in it. I have no idea. Right? The other two have Yuds in, this doesn't. Right? But Yad Itag. Or maybe it's because he was not Jewish, so he doesn't deserve a Yud. Maybe. All right? Could be. No idea. Right? Itag, we said.
Yoav was David general forever, right?
He had always been, yes, David general, right? And since David, yes.
And Avishai's also always been like some sort of commander, though?
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, he's helped David on previous occasions. He's the one who said, "Let's chop off Shimi's head." Right? He was the one who helped David when he stole Shaul's water and his spear. So yes, he's one of David's men, close men.
How was David's relationship with Yoav?
What's the word to use? Complicated, yes. Because David cursed Yoav for having killed Avner, and that really put a spanner in the works of David's plan to make peace with the rest of the Jews. In the end, he still managed to make peace with them, but he really was upset with Yoav. So, on the other hand, Yoav stays loyal to David, up till now at least, right?
Wink.
So I don't know what it means. Like more than that content. Did they give a hug each time you saw each other? Did they give a slap on the back? I have no idea. But they were. He was David's nephew. Understand that? He was the son of David's sister. David's sister was Tzuruya. Yoav was his chief of staff. But that doesn't.
His nephew?
No. Avner was Shaul's cousin. That was the other side. Avishai was, and Asael was. Those are the three brothers. And we had also Amasa, maybe he was the one we mentioned yesterday. Amasa is the head of the troops of Avshalom. And he's another nephew of David's from a different sister called Abigail. Not to be confused with Abigail, who was David's wife. Two women with the same name. All right.
So Judaism has no issue with nepotism then?
It depends how you transmit nepotism. If I think the best person for this position is my son, that's not nepotism. Nepotism is when you choose your son despite the fact he's not the best for the position. Understand? I mean, the royal family is nepotism, right? The next guy becomes king is the son, right?
But that's because God.
Judaism has no problem with that. No, as long as he's fit to be king. Understand? If he's good for nothing, you still pick him. That's nepotism. That's what we don't believe in. Okay. All right. So, good. So this is his. So one set of troops is under the control of Yoav. One is under the command. That's the better word. The command of Yoav. The second one is under the command of Avishai, and the third one is under the command of Ittai Haggiti, who's from Gat, which is a Philistine town. And somehow or other, he had an acquaintance with David, probably because when David was himself in the area of Philistine for half a year approximately, he got to know the Philistine, and they got to know him, and they liked him. Okay, then they joined his troops. And he had a whole troop of 600 Philistines who were under the command of Ittai. Now, it could be that it's much bigger. I mean, the Philistines who were with Ittai were 600, but it could be much more troops who were now under the command of Ittai. Those are the three groups. And the king said to the people, Yatso etzei gam ani imachem. Surely, Yatso etzei. That's like, surely I will go also with you. I want to go too. Right? That's the tradition, Jewish kings. I don't know how it is with non-Jewish kings. There seems to be some exceptions, but Rashi brings the non-Jewish kings, or Pharaoh, would generally stay behind and send out his troops to fight on his behalf. And Pharaoh points out when he's chasing the Jews at the Red Sea, I'm going to go out in front. Rashi points out that was unusual. That's why Pharaoh wants to say, he so much wants to rally the troops up. He's prepared to show how this important is and goes out to fight. But this was a general, normal thing that Jewish kings went out to fight.
As the African kings went out to fight.
Also did?
Yeah.
Yes, and so does Alexander the Great as well. So there are exceptions to it, but Rashi says it's not the general rule. Okay?
Well, most warlords will, but
What?
warlords will.
Well, I suppose that's what a warlord is. Yeah, but we're talking about kings. Okay, all right, let's continue. So anyway, he says, well,
What's it?
I don't know, you called him a warlord, I called him a king. See, because you had a different word for it, I presume that means by definition there's something different about it.
Usually,
Right.
yeah. Usually, when they go out to battle, they're usually warlords.
So then your argument's exactly what I said. By definition, a warlord's going to battle because that's what a warlord is.
Yeah, that's
Right? My question is, what do kings do? Right? King Henry II, did he go out to fight? I know he was a warlord, then by definition he went to that, but he wasn't. The kings, generally speaking. So what's his name? Richard the Lionheart, right? I don't know. You see him outside Parliament on a horse with a sword. Does that mean he actually did that, or he just stayed behind in the tent and let? No. Usually the commanders don't go out and fight, do they? They stay behind because they needed to plan and all sorts of excuses why they don't want to actually go out and fight. Maybe they're true. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, this is what David would usually have gone out to fight, and that's what he wanted to do. Right? I'm also going out. So I've divided it into three, but I'm going to lead all three of you out. Right? You shouldn't go out. They didn't think this was a good idea. Although usually he did, they didn't think it was a good idea now. Why? What's their reason why this is different? Key. Because im nanus means what? No, that's what it means in South Africa. Right? That's nanas. How do I know? Because we discussed this last week. Nanas in Hebrew means a midget. Right?
Oh, baby.
Right. In South Africa it means a midget. No, nanus means we will flee.
Oh.
Nus is to flee. Like Vayar Hayam Vayonos, we say that in Hallel. Right, yeah? That the sea store and fled away. Nanus, the nun is we. We, like Nagid, no man, Nishlach. Right? The nun is we. We will flee. Lo yasimu levelenu. They will not place their heart towards us. Means if we run away, they won't take any notice and say, they'll chase after us. They're not interested in us. So even if we run away, right, they won't notice that. V'im yamusu chetzienu. If half of us will die, lo yasimu aleinu leiv, they won't take any notice of that either. They're not interested in that. They say, oh, we won. We killed half of them. We ran away. We won. Until they get you, there's nothing to talk about, right? And therefore, what's going to happen is they're going to focus all their troops on you, and they're going to kill you. So usually, you go out to battle, you have a fair chance because they're not interested in killing the king more than anybody else. They just want to win the battle. But here, they have no interest in killing us. Avshalom wants to rule over all the Jews. He doesn't want to kill Jews. Avshalom has no interest in killing Jews. All they're doing is trying to get you, and that's why it's not a good idea, because they don't get you.
It's pretty smart.
Right? So this time we think you should stay behind. They won't take any tap to heart either. Because now, kamoinu, like us, asara alofim 10,000. Now, not so clear what that means, right? It would be after with an would mean something else, but it means you, it means now, it means, I suppose it's like, it means you are like 10,000. Specifically now, usually we wouldn't consider David as so weighty. In this particular battle, you're like equivalent of 10,000 soldiers, as far as their forces are going to be concentrated. And therefore that's why it's not a good idea. But I've got a good idea for you. Va'ata now, and again in this particular instance, Toiv, it would be good, means the better option is, Ki tiya lanu me'ir, that you should be for us from the city, la'azor, to help. Means you can help us from the city. How do you help from the city? How does David help from the city?
Right.
By praying. Right, exactly. It means you, David, can stay behind and pray or learn Torah, and in the schus, in the merit, like Moshe Rabbeinu, the battle when Yeshua took the Jews to battle against the Amalekim who attacked after the crossing of the Red Sea. Moshe Rabbeinu prayed, and the other people went to fight. Right? So that's actually this week's parasha. We actually learned this concept that when Jews go out to battle, right, they have different battalions, just like there's the battalions who are the Tzanchanim, and the battalions who are the Golani, and there's whatever,
Nachal.
and there's Nachal, and there's Galei Tzahal, and there's guys who cook the potatoes in the kitchens. There's also the guys who stay behind, and their job is to daven or learn on behalf of the soldiers. We learn from this week's parasha. It says, I think it says, Elef lamata, 1,000 to 1,000. So I'll say, why didn't you just say Elef? Why 1,000 to 1,000? Was it the same 1,000 every 1,000 go out to fight? That's another 1,000 who are specifically spending their time either learning or davening for them. So that you see from David, right? The David.
Every soldier that goes out to fight has one person praying.
I think so.
Wow.
This is the Haredis get the idea of people should sit in yeshiva and learn Torah, and these soldiers out. This is where this whole mystical thing comes
Shouldn't.
from.
We just learned that there should be people doubting for the
But
soldiers.
that's what I'm saying. That
That's
this
what
is
he's
where
saying.
That's not where it came from.
This
They
is where it
didn't.
comes
No,
from.
no. It came from. They didn't want to join Herzl. Herzl and like the other secular Zionists wanted to have the Jewish state, and then they wanted the Haredim with them, and then the Haredim said, "No, we are not going to have this state. This is not right at this particular moment until Mashiach comes." And then I said, "Okay, you won't have to join the army, and then that way you won't have to like recognize the state of Israel." And then I said, "Okay, fine."
Okay, fine, let's go.
What?
Okay.
We'll talk about it. That's not right. what you said.
No.
Absolutely not right. A lot of it was, but not the last conclusion. No.
They said, okay, on the condition that we don't have to join the army, we'll come to the state of Israel. We'll come to the land. We'll be there.
Oh, it's much more complicated than that. Anyway, some other time we'll talk about it. Yeah. Okay. Right. All these things are very, very complicated, but they're not. We're going to try and focus on this. Okay.
I wanted to stay up.
So, all right. So that's what David is saying. The idea that they're saying you'll be in this. Now, it wasn't always like this. It could be there was always people praying, but it wasn't. Usually, David went out to battle with them. But in this particular case, there's no advance in the context. You're going to be in the way. They're going to focus. They're going to kill you, and you'll be doing much better if you stay behind and help us from there. It doesn't say. We have to guess what he's going to help from there. So you guess, like I think is right. The David will say to him, or learn Torah, or whatever he's going to do. And the king says to him, Asher yitav be'einechem eseh. That which is good in your eyes, I will do. It's very interesting. Like, the king doesn't say he agrees with them, right? Doesn't say you're right. Yeah, he says, if you think this is good, I'll do it. Right? He's like subjecting himself to their decision, which is unusual for kings to do. They usually say, I think you're right, and do it. No, whatever you say so. No. On the contrary, that's what you usually say to the king. Right? Even though you don't agree with the king, you say, whatever you say, that I'll do. It's a bit weird.
He wasn't a dictator.
So what? You still don't say it like this.
Yeah, he's the king.
He's still the king.
Decisive.
Yeah, I say exactly. He should be decisive. I agree with you, and therefore we're going to do it because I agree with you. Right.
It's like agreeing.
This is like saying agree. Yeah. He says whatever you say, sir. Whatever you say, he's the king. Whatever you say, not whatever they say.
But he's like reluctantly agreeing, it sounds like.
Correct. He's like, I actually don't think you're right, but since you think it's right, I'll do it.
No, it's like, because he would agree with them passionately, but using his head and logic, like, instead of, he's using his brains instead of his heart, because he wants to go out and fight with the troops, and now he's like...
I see. Yeah, could be. Yeah. I mean, he's saying you're actually right, but you're right, because what you're saying is correct, but I still don't really want to do it. Because I'm a soldier, and soldiers want to fight, they don't want to sit and learn.
Yeah, but it means his davening will be stronger because his heart's with them.
Yeah. It's nice. Vayamed HaMelech El Yad. So what did the king do? The king stood El Yad Hashah, which means at the hand of the gate, which just means next to the gate. Chol ha'am yotzu, and all the people went out of the town. They were in Machanayim. They left to go out to battle in the battlefield against the troops of Avshalom. Lemeot, by their hundreds, but alafim, and in their thousands. It means each group of 100 marched 10 by 10 or whatever, and then you have 10 groups, and that would be one group, and they'd have one banner, and they would have one commander, and he would go. And then the next one, right? And that's how many there were, we don't know. But Shaul HaMelech es Yoav. The king commanded Yoav. Yitzav, he commanded. Who did he command? Yoav, Ves Avishai, Ves Ittai. Those were the three leading commanders of these forces. Forces were divided into three groups. Each group had its thousands and its and its hundreds. Ves Ittai lema. This is what he said. Le'at li lanar. Le'at means slow, right? Go slow with the lad. Meaning go easy. Go easy with which lad? Avshalom. Go easy with him. Look, we're fighting him, but don't just go out.
What does it mean? Like,
go easy with him.
Kill him like in a...
No, that's what it means. If you catch him, then go easy with him. You arrest him and bring him to me.
Don't just brutalize him.
Right, don't just kill him. Right? La'atli lana'ar la'avshalom. L'chol ha'am shamam, all the people heard. B'tzavos HaMelech es kol ha'sorim. When the king commanded all the officers or ministers al devar Avshalom concerning Avshalom. It wasn't a secret, right? It would be silly if it was a secret because, I mean, you could say these commanders had to pass these instructions on to their soldiers, right? But everyone heard David say, make this announcement, although he was addressing them, everyone heard what David said. And the people went out to the field, means the battlefield, likras Yisrael, towards Yisrael. Yisrael means Avshalom's army. Because the vast majority of Jewish people supported Avshalom, that's why his army is called Yisrael, whereas David's army is called the servants of David. You don't call one the servants of David, one the servants of Avshalom. That's called Israel, and that's called the servants of David. Towards Israel. And the war was, the battle was B'Yar Ephraim. Yar means
City.
Forest.
Forest. Ir is a city, where the letters Ayin Yud Resh is a city. Right? It's not Ayin Yud Resh, it's Yud Ayin Resh. Right? Get it? See the change of order? Ya'ar is a forest. In the forest of Ephraim. It's a bit strange because the tribe of Ephraim's portion in Eretz Yisrael was on the western side of the Jordan. And here we're on the eastern side of the Jordan. It's a bit strange.
Both were already crossed.
Well, they've already crossed. Machanayim, we saw yesterday, Machanayim on the map is on the eastern side of the Jordan.
Well, maybe it's because majority of the force is in Ephraim, but it's just that part of it over there.
1 second. David is in Machanayim. Okay? Avshalom has crossed over the Jordan. We said that yesterday. Right? Where did we say it? Yichan Yisrael va'Avshalom. Israel and Avshalom camped in the land of Gilad. Land of Gilad is the tribe of God, which is on the eastern side of the Jordan. There's no reason to fight. Right? What does it say? The battle was in that mountain, in the forest of Ephraim. Is weird, right? It's the wrong side of the river of the Jordan. Okay.
Where is the forest of Ephraim?
I don't know. I have no idea. I know where Ephraim is. Ephraim is like 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers north of here, right? It's like where Jenin is, right?
Yeah.
Right, that area. Shechem is that area, right? Right. That's all Ephraim.
You have the pull-out map?
Yeah, we've got the map here.
Jenny.
See, we've got the tribal units marked on it, so you can see.
You take the camera back to the
Here. See over here? Here's Yerushalayim,
Yes.
Binyamin, Ephraim. Sorry, Jenin is actually Menashe. Okay, this is Ephraim. Ephraim is Shechem.
Shechem, right.
This is Ephraim. Okay, and we're talking about over here. So it's level, sort of, but it's on the other side of the river. Okay? I mean, look, I think the answer is as follows, that a range of mountains that starts in Ephraim may keep its name even though it goes into some other tribal unit. The same might be as a forest, right? You said something about the troops.
No, I said the forest. I said maybe it's because the forest is mostly on the side of Ephraim, and then even though they're on the other side.
Okay, so I thought you said the troops were in Ephraim. I don't understand what you say. Yes, it probably starts in Ephraim, and it keeps its name as it continues the same forest as it crosses over the river. It's possible, but it's a bit weird because the forest probably doesn't cross over the river at all, because the river is the Dead Sea Valley, and there's no forests in the Dead Sea Valley because it's all desert. But maybe it was different in those days, I don't know. Anyway, that's where the battle was. Then it continues. Vayinogfu, and the word negef and magefa. Magefa is a plague. Vayinogfu means and they were plagued, right? It just means they were thrashed. That was probably how you'd say it in English.
I thought it was nun gimel ya'ayin.
That's a nega. That means that's a different type of plague. That's like a tsaras. When you get an infection, it's called a nega. But when the Egyptians were plagued, when you have like the bubonic plague, right? That's not called a nega. That's called a magefa. There's different types. And one spreads by germs, one's just an infection on your body. Right? That's called nega tsaras. Okay. Vayinogfu Sham Am Yisrael. The people of Israel were plagued there in the forest of Ephraim. Lifnei Avdei David, in face of the servants of David. So the servants of David thrashed them totally, even though they were probably outnumbered.
Thrashed.
To beat them, yeah. They beat the living daylights out of them, as we would say in English, right? Even though they were outnumbered, clearly they were probably outnumbered 1 to 10 at least, right?
They had gone on their side.
V'atihi sham, exactly. V'atihi sham ha'magefa gedola b'yom hahu, and the plague was there great on that day. It means that day there was a great defeat. Hahu, on that day, Esrim Elef 20,000. That probably means there were 20,000 dead on the side of Israel as a result of this war.
Wow. Yeah. Instead of putting God in, I don't want to, of course, God, I'm just saying, like, I thought it's because David is more experienced with war.
Okay, that could also be. It's unlikely, but could be because Avshalom was also experienced.
But
David,
he's a kid.
he's not a kid.
Like
Why do you think
40,
he's a kid?
right?
Who told he's a kid? Because David calls him a nah. That's just David. That's the father. I'm always the baby, even though I'm 63.
Yeah, but
You say, my sister's I'm the baby in the family. Doesn't help. So Avshalom will always be a nah, right? So no, he had his own children. Sometimes his own children. He was a general. Amasa was a general. Or I'm going to say, there was no change of army. Understand? It's just a change of king. The officers were still the same officers. They just were on Avshalom's side. The head was Avishai and Yoav. But other than that, I don't think there's any natural explanation of why David won. And the truth is, it's poshet that he's going to win. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu said you have 4 punishments. Right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu was on his side the whole time. And he said you have 4. And the only reason why things are going bad for him, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said you're punished for your Aveira. And the one was the child died, then his daughter was raped, then his son was killed, and then the 4th one was a rebellion. As soon as that's finished, as soon as he's gone through the stages of that, then everything's going to start going good for him. Just has to get to that point when God's now on his side, then for sure he's going to win. Just like he had the stone and killed the Goliath. So I think Shane is 100% correct. Vayinogfu Sham, right, 20,000 people. Vatihi Sham HaMilchama, and the war was there. Nafotzet means spread out. It wasn't like one battlefield because everyone was in all different places. Al Pnei Chol Haaretz, on the face of the whole land, the whole country, but the whole area around was fighting, soldiers running and chasing and being killed. And the forest was consumed more. Vayerev from the word harbe. Consumed more ba'am of the people me'asher ochla hacherev than consumed the sword. What it means is more people died as a result of the conditions in the forest than were actually killed by the sword.
Oh, that happens.
Now, presumably, what that means is we're not talking about some enormous forest that people get lost for days and can't be discovered because we're talking about this tiny country called Israel. What we're probably talking about is the animals in the forest where people
Animals,
Could there be
dysentery.
actually a plague? Could there be actually Magafa or no? It's just not so.
Why really like that? I mean, there's no need to be like that. Could be. You mean they got cholera?
It was just animals. It was just animals.
No, I think so. I don't know why they would get dysentery. Why don't they just run home? They don't have to stay in the forest. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Right. But the forest would be a place you would normally avoid. But that's where they fled to from the battleground. So that's what it says. More people died in the forest than those who were actually killed by sword. But it looks like the total was 20,000. It doesn't say, and there's more than 20,000. No, it doesn't mean that. Altogether was 20,000. And that's explaining, but there were more casualties from the forest than there were from the people.
Time. That's
wrong.
or not?
Vayikra Avshalom, and Avshalom. Now this is Vayikare Avshalom. Now it means in the context he just happened. Usually that's spelled with a hey. The word kara, to happen, is a hey. The word kara with an aleph is to call. right? I don't know why, but sometimes these words seem to get mixed up. Clearly from the context here, it means to happen. Vayikarei Avshalom. Avshalom happened.
Quote
Right?
unquote.
Yes, obviously it means God made it happen, right? But
Coincidence, but
yeah, it looked like it was a coincidence. Avshalom just happened, Lifnei Avdei David, in front of the servants of David. Means
He appeared. in front of-
yeah, I mean they caught him, right? They weren't like looking for him. They didn't know where he was and go searching for him. They just happened to. Oh, well, there's Avshalom, right? But now we tell you, now what was the story, the background? Avshalom Roichem, Avshalom had been riding, right? I'm not saying they caught him and he's now riding. We have to go back a bit. Let's rewind. How did they happen to meet him? What was he doing? The story's like this. Avshalom was riding a pered. A pered is a mule. A mule is a cross between a horse and a donkey. Okay, for some
We're
reason.
not allowed to make those, right?
We're not allowed to make a cross like that, correct? But if somebody else makes it, we're allowed to use it. So he rode, that was his mode of transport, right? He didn't have a horse, he had a mule. A mules are apparently very, very strong, and they have very violent kicks, very fierce kicks. So, I don't know. But anyway, that was what he had. Vayavoy HaPered, and the mule came, Tachas Sovach Ha'ela Hagdoila. So, Tachas means underneath. Sovach means when you have a mess of something, right? Like something's misubach. So misubach means it's confusing, right? Or right. So you can't have a confusing tree, right? But it means a tree with lots and lots of branches all over the place, right? When your hair is in a mess, right? Then misubach, right? When something a complicated in mathematics equation, then misubach, right? Okay. So that's what it means. Ha'ela is a tree. It's called a terebinth, but I don't know what, doesn't mean anything to me. Right? It's a big tree. Haggadah, big tree. So he's riding underneath the branches, the confused branches of this big tree. Vayechezak roshai ba'ela, and his head became caught in the branches of the tree.
His head or his hair?
It says his head, right?
Huzzah.
Now, probably it doesn't mean his head, because how does your head get caught in a branch? It probably means his hair, right? Well, let's call his head, because the hair is the hair of his head. Okay. Why would his hair get caught? Because he had long hair. Why did he have long hair? Because you only used to cut it once a year, as we mentioned in the previous chapters. He was a Nazir, and because of his particular type of Nazirus, he was allowed to cut it once a year, and that's when long hair. So he's riding on his thing, right? And in the wind, or when he's jumping on his thing, his hair goes up and gets caught in the branch. Okay.
Wait, it wasn't talking about the hair of the mule?
No, it's some of the hair of Avshalom. Yitain, and he was now placed, funny expression, Bein Hashamayim, between the heavens, Ubein Haaretz, and between the ground, which is also strange because he wasn't between the heavens and the ground, he was between a tree and the ground. Right? What's the heavens got to do with the story? Right? When you're between the heavens and the ground,
He's hanging there.
yes, but that's not between the heavens and the ground. Between the heavens and the ground is like a parachute. On top of you is the sky, beneath you is the ground. If on top of you is a tree, that's not called between the heavens and the ground. So it's a funny expression. Right? It's a funny expression. Leib has an approach which he wants to tell us, but he's not allowed to because he has to be quiet. Okay? All right? Yeah? I think it's trying to make a hint, but I just want to point out at the moment, I don't think that was a normal way to say it. Normal way to say it was he was between the tree and the ground, which is exactly where he was. Right? What do you think, Leib?
Sometimes like a person is on their deathbed, they've got a few hours left to live. He's still alive, but like when a person about
Go on, carry on, that's what I mean.
That's what it means. He's between heaven and earth. Meaning sometimes people's about to
Why
die.
is he about to die? He's just hanging from a tree, that's all.
But his end is coming.
Why is his end coming? He'll take out a sword, cut his hair off, and that'll be the end of the story.
Okay.
You know the end of the story, that's why. Right? But there's no reason at the moment to think he's between heaven and earth.
Yeah, but that's what he's trying to say, that he's about to die. So
You know he's about to die. Why should there's no reason.
No.
Okay, fine.
I don't know he's about to. I'm saying
You know,
that's
so
what
why is he between heaven and earth?
because
He's not. He's just hanging from a tree, that's all. If you were hanging from a tree, you'd describe that between heaven and earth. You're about to die. Why are you about to die? Because you're hanging from a tree. What's so difficult? You break the tree, you cut your hair, and you're off the tree.
What does Utan mean?
He was placed. It could be describing the story from God's perspective.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, you didn't say that. Fine, okay, fine. All right. But that's not pshat, that's a remes. It's merames that he's in judgment. God's judging this fellow. Right? Should we let him live? Should we let him die? Good, fine, okay, fine. Good.
That's what it
I have to understand that that's not pshat. Right? Do you appreciate? Mustn't relate to this. That's the pshat. The pshat, he was hanging from the tree. The question is, why did the Torah say it in this funny way, right? So, okay, you have to see, God really is hanging between their life and death. When you have a person's life and death, it means it's not so clear what's going to be, right? From God's perspective, it's not clear. It is clear, isn't it? He's about to die. So it looks like that God's not yet decided yet. Okay. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. Let's just point it out. Va'pered, and the mule, right? The Asher Tachta, which was underneath him. What happened to that? Avav's gone on. Why? I suppose once he was in that jump, as he was jumping up on the back of the horse, and normally he would just land back. But as soon as the head got caught there, the mule continues. Now he's hanging from the tree, and his legs don't reach the ground. Right?
Wait, but he has a sword. Why doesn't he just?
That's a good question. How do you know he has a sword? You presume he has.
I
Probably has. Right? Yeah, she just cut his hair off. Right? He had his gorgeous hair. Long.
He's
curly
another.
hair.
Okay, but it's about like, do you want to live without gorgeous hair, or do you want to
Also,
just
he's another.
die with your?
Yeah, but still, again, you're allowed to violate the laws of Moses to save your life.
Yep.
I mean, he knows he can get caught here, doesn't he? Maybe he doesn't. He's hoping that soon one of his soldiers will come past, and then he'll bring another donkey and he'll sit on that and he'll get away. Chaval to cut his hair, doesn't have to.
Or the soldier just cut the branch. Or he can just cut the
Whatever.
branch.
He can find it. There's ways out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not easy to cut a branch. It depends on how thick it is, right? But his hair could have cut off, right? Certainly not worth dying for.
Yes.
So that's a big question on the story. Why didn't he just cut his hair off? Because he didn't have a chance to. But he got caught immediately. Maybe because that's what he said. They just happened to find him. Well, look, he was hanging from the tree. Okay, so it depends how long he'd been hanging from the tree in order to answer your question. If it was a long time, it's a good question. Why didn't he cut his hair? If it was very quickly afterwards, it's not a good question.
Yes.
But it doesn't say, so there's no way of me knowing.
Okay.
There's a whole medrash about it, but that's another story about why he didn't cut his hair.
What is a medrash? Is it like?
A medrash sort of answers these sorts of questions, which the text doesn't answer. There's no, it didn't give it. So you need a tradition of what happened. But that, you can't just make up a medrash. You can make up anything. There was a fire underneath it. You can make up any story you want, but a medrash is an authentic version of what really happened. Okay, but let's leave it at that because we're learning pshat, we're not learning medrash. A young man, he said, okay. Aish echad, and one fellow, a man, saw Ayagei Yoav and came to run to Yoav. He came to tell Yoav that he'd just seen Avshalom hanging from the tree. Alive, not hanging there, hanging from his head. Behold, I saw Avshalom talui, hanging, ba'ela, in the tree called an Elah. That's the name of the tree. And Yoav said to the man who told him, if behold you saw him, if you really saw him, so why don't you strike him down to the ground? Kill him. That's what it means. Strike him down to the ground. It's not going to happen if he's on a tree, right? But that's what it means. That's what you usually do when you kill somebody. Why don't you do that? And then what I would have to give you a reward if you did that. Asara kesef, 10 golden coins. And 1 belt. I don't know, we don't have this thing in our civilization what belts are, but it was obviously some type of trophy you got when you did something good in the army, right? You got a belt, like you went from your yellow belt to a green belt to a red belt to a white belt, what do they call them in karate? Right? Black belt. What's the lowest? Yes, you go from the black. What's the highest? Black belt. Okay, so you've been elevated. You got a new stripe on your thing over here, right? Why didn't you do it? I would have to pay you. Would have to reward you. You're silly. Why didn't you just do it? The man said to Yoav, "Velu means even if it were. Anoichi, I shokel weighing al kapai on my palm. Elef kesef, 1,000 silver means. It seems what it means. Even if you'd already given me the money and it was weighing down on my hand, that's what it means. Not for me to weigh it. Sounds like I'm giving it, but is the guy who. So it means you would give it. You would have given it to me on my palm. It was already weighing on my palm. I still wouldn't do it. V'lu anoichi shokel. Even if I could weigh, it means I could feel the weight of my palm. Kapai, my palm. Elef kesef, 1,000 gold. Lo yeshlach yadi. I will not send my hand el ben HaMelech against the son of the king. Why? Well, you could say because he's a prince. Right? But you don't need to because the passage continues. In our ears, in our hearing range. The king didn't talk to us, but we all heard. Tziva HaMelech, the king commanded, Oscha to you, because he's talking to Yoav. Ve'es Avishai, your brother, Ve'es Itai, who was the third commander, Lamar, Shimru mi bana'ar ba'avshalom. Be careful who of the lad Avshalom. That's not exactly what David said, right? David said slightly different words, but more or less it means the same thing, right? David had said, you have to be careful with him. So we've caught him, he's hanging in a tree. I'm going to kill him. Explicitly violate the orders of the king. I wouldn't dream of doing that. Even if you gave me cash and paid me already for it, I wouldn't do it. Or Asisi benafshi sheker. If I did with my soul a lie. Meaning, it's not so clear what he's trying to say, what he means is, if I'd done it and lied about it, or either the lie would be to cover it up, or the actual act would be considered a lie, in the sense that it'd be a violation of the king's command. That would also be called a sheker. Sheker in a different sense, not a sheker that it's a lie, that it's a non-truth, but it's sheker because it's not what's supposed to be done. If I'd done that, if I'd done this corruption of my soul and killed him, v'chol davar, and every matter lo yikached min HaMelech isn't hidden from the king. The king would have found out about it if I'd done it. Yikached usually means to be hidden. Yeah, be hidden in the sense of to hiding information. The information wouldn't be hidden from the king. He'd find out. V'ata tityatev minegev, you would have stood opposite. Wow. Meaning, you wouldn't have come to my defense if I'd done it. Right? Now that I didn't do it, you've got tainas against me, you've got a complaint that I didn't do it, you would have rewarded me. Right? But if I'd done it, you wouldn't have supported me, that's why I didn't do it. I mean, I know you're happy that it's done, but you wouldn't have helped me.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't do it. Loichein oichila lefanecha. I will not therefore beg of you. Or achila means like to pray. Like Vayichal Moshe prayed. It means I'm not going to ask you to do it. I can see you're not going to do it for me. I'm not going to continue the conversation try and get you to do it. Right? I will not continue to entreat you. What will I do instead? I'll go and do it myself. Yoav took 3 shevet. A shevet means
a tribe.
It can mean a tribe, but also means a stick. Okay.
3 swordsmen.
He took 3 sticks. Whatever those sticks look like, they may have been sharp at the ends, right? But it really means a stick. Like Shivtecha o Mishantecha Heima Yenachamuni. Where do we say that?
It's like your staff.
Yeah, where do we say it?
Psalm 23.
Yeah, Psalm 23. 23. The Lord is my shepherd. Shall not want, right? So it says Shivtecha, your staff. So that's what a shevet is, right? Shevet is a staff. So he took 3 sticks, big kappa in his palm, by Yisko'em, and he fixed them.
He fixed them in the
Right?
heart.
It really means like, you know that you have on the wall, you have a sheker, you put in a teka, means that's the outlet and that's the plug.
Yeah.
That's the teka, right? So that's what you do. You go like that, you do that with the plug, that's what he did with these sticks.
Wow.
Right? He stuck them by Yisko'em. He stuck them, belev Avshalom, in the heart of Avshalom. Oidenu chai. Belev ha'ela. Now that could mean whilst he was still alive, right? Or it means, and even after that he's still alive. It means although he did this, it didn't actually kill Avshalom.
Just did it.
It definitely put him out of action, but he didn't actually kill him yet. Oidenu chai, he's still alive. Belev ha'ela, in the heart of the terebinth. Means hanging there in the middle of the tree. He's got these 3 spears or something else that you managed to impale him. Is that right, the word? Avshalom. That's just one more pasuk.
Wait, so Yoav now betrayed David?
Exactly.
Again.
Well,
not yet.
he didn't betray. He was more enthusiastic than David was about it. Just like he killed Avner because he felt Avner was a traitor, and he killed Yoav because he killed Avshalom because Avshalom's a traitor. That's all. He's just more extreme than David is. Okay. He disobeyed orders. That's not his betray. You know what's his name? I mentioned to you. What's his name? What's his name? The guy who was the prime minister of Israel. What's his name? Before Bibi.
No, before Bibi.
Why? Who?
Ariel Sharon. Ariel Sharon was an officer in the Yom Kippur War, and he disobeyed orders too.
to do what?
I don't know. He was told to do something and he didn't. He thought that his commanding officers were not making the right decision. He just ignored them. And he went and he became the prime minister because that's how armies are. They don't really care whether you obey orders. As long as you're the guy, the hero, you won the war. That's what forget the fight you disobeyed. Okay? So yes, you can disobey orders and theoretically you should be court-martialed for it, right? And be thrown into prison. But sometimes you'll get away with it.
Okay.
Right? So I don't think disloyal is not the right word, understand? But he definitely disobeyed orders. That's what he did. He killed that. Well, he hasn't killed him yet. But Yisaibu means to go around, like a Sivivon. They surrounded him. Asara Na'arim, 10 lads. Again, the word lad in your mind means an adolescent to 15-year-old, but not necessarily. Right? It's just a description of enthusiasm, more than a description of age. Yeshua is called a Nar, even though he's 40 years old. Right? So Nar actually is from the word Lit'oreh, which means to be awake. It's a description of someone who's exuberant and not half asleep. Okay? It doesn't necessarily describe an age. And so his 10 lads who were Nosei Kilei Yoav, they were his armor bearers. Right? So Yoav, being a commander, had his own 10 armor bearers. And they surrounded Avshalom, Vayaku es Avshalom, and they hit Avshalom, Vayimisuhu, and they killed him.
Wow.
Okay.
So David is getting a 5th punishment.
Well, why? It's 4. 4 of his children now suffered. The baby died, his daughter was raped, his son was murdered, and his second son was murdered.
It wasn't.
I don't remember that.
It wasn't the rebellion that was like the.
Yes, correct. That's all.
Okay.
So yeah, it's all part of the same. He's got 4 children. Yeah. Yeah, also has his wives who were raped. There's lots of other things on the side that happened. But there's 4 different stories, each with different points. Okay? So let's leave it at that, and we'll see what happens. Basically, that's the end of the war, right? Once you've killed Avshalom, there's nobody else to. Either way, that's what would have been here. Whoever would have been killed, but David Avshalom would have been the end. There would be no more fighting once because that was the whole question: who was going to be king? Once there's no other opposition, then everyone's going to go back to joining David, right?
Yeah.
Not so straightforward. We'll see. It doesn't go so easily. It doesn't like automatically. Okay, everyone's back to David. There's another 2 chapters about how long it took to get back.
Wait, so just like Na'ar doesn't mean actually a young.
No, I didn't say it doesn't. Doesn't necessarily mean.
What's the root of it? Does the same way I'm thinking. Where I'm at is we're saying Na'ar Gamza Kanti.
Okay.
So Na'ar, what is
No,
that?
there's it probably. You see that the Zaken is an old person,
Okay.
right? So there it probably means the opposite.
Is a Zaken like?
Zaken doesn't necessarily mean an age either.
So what does that
Right?
mean?
Zaken means an elder. Elder means an elder statesman, right? Just means a person with lots of experience.
Person.
The mitzvah to stand up for a Zaken.
Right.
Ibnei Seva takum,
Yes.
v'hadarta pnei Zaken.
What does that mean?
So Seva means a person who's over a certain age. That's talking about an age. And Zaken doesn't mean that. It means a person who's a Talmid Chacham.
And what does like Vahadarta mean? How?
How do you do that?
Yeah. What does it mean? It means like to.
To show respect.
No, it means kavod is respect. So what's like?
Hadarta means pretty.
Sorry.
It means pretty.
Pretty. So you. Prettize.
No, there's no such verbs. That's why I say it means to show respect.
Right. Okay.
I mean, obviously there's a nuance and a difference on what it is.
So how did he do it?
How'd you do it?
Fulfill the commandment.
Well, if you see the Rosh Hashiva and you open the door for him, you didn't stand up for him, but you're Hadar. If you carry his suitcase for him to the car, or you drive his car for him, or those are all signs of showing respect.
I want to tell you a story. When you finish, but finish.
I'm finished. Thank you, Rabbi.
When I was 8 or 9 years old, I had a friend in the neighborhood whose grandmother died. And then he told us the event. Basically, the grandmother called all the grandkids and the kids, and he gave them like final words. And the grandmother said, "I'm about to leave. I'm about to get taken. There'll be people coming here, angels. I know you don't believe in these things. Okay, but okay, let's."
Why do you accuse me of this nonsense?
Okay, she said there's been people that have been
Why?
coming. There's been people that have been coming and preparing me Okay, listen, Rabbi.
I just deny it. I don't know what you just made out.
Okay. She said there's been people that will be coming here, preparing me, I'm about to leave, and they're on their way here, and she said, you know, you have to behave yourself, be good, you know, remember what I've, you know, she gave them a whole speech. I'm about to leave, and then she said, here's the, and she called them by very low. She's talking about, she's like, she pointed at the guy, she's like, yeah, such and such and such and such is here to come pick me up. And then she was gone. So why I'm telling you the story, you could see at that when she was saying all these words, or during that period, she was between life and death. She was between heaven. I mean, she was alive, but she was already seeing that, okay, my journey's come. She was already seeing the next world. She was between heaven and earth that time. So I'm saying that to say that's
how that's very nice. That's exactly my question. How does that make sense in this story? All he was doing was hanging from a tree. I think what you're saying is beautiful. It's 100% good, but how does that apply to here? All Avshalom was doing was hanging from a tree. If you were hanging from a swing, and you're going, you wouldn't say you were hanging between heaven and earth. You wouldn't be thinking, I'm going to die.
Generally, when people are about to die, even sick people, there is that feeling, okay, I'm about to leave.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm asking. Why did Avshalom feel like that? All he's doing is hanging from a tree. What made him think that he's near his end?
His muscle told him.
Why did his muscle tell him that?
Rabbi, I don't know what else to say.
Okay, so that's all. Okay, fine. So we've got to a point. We've got a point where we start. We don't know why he felt like that. A cop out to say his mazel told him is the same thing as he loved him because he loves God. That's an answer to the question. It doesn't. Why should he think like that? Right? Maybe a little dicky bird came and told him he's here. You're about to die. Maybe an angel told him he's about to die. There could be all sorts of things. Okay, that's not an answer, right? That's just saying the question. The question is, why does he think like that? Fine, let's leave it at that. We don't know. Understand? All you're saying is a guessed answer. Maybe his mother told him. Maybe his mummy told him that when your hair gets caught in the tree, you'll know that you're going to die 10 minutes later. You can make up anything.
I'm saying generally people feel.
That's when people's neshama is half left them already. Because they're dying. He's not dying. All he's doing is hanging from a tree about Shalom. Why should he think he's going to die? Why should his neshama feel it's on the way out? It's not happened. When you've got a person who's ill, a person who's dying, is coming towards his last moments, his neshama's halfway out. I can hear that. Person might feel that. This guy's a young guy. He's got all his life ahead of him. He wants to take his sword out and cut his hair off. And everything's fine. Why does he think he's about to die?
Maybe.
Okay, so you want to invoke and say, yes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent some sort of malach and he told him that he's about to die. And he felt it could be. Right? But that's like guesswork. I'm not saying it's wrong. Right? That's when you need Chazal to tell us what did he suddenly think that. You can't just guess because he may be guessing wrong. Understand?
Okay.
Get it? I'm saying your experience of people knowing they're about to die is when they're old and ill and they're on the way out. But he's not on his way out. He is on his way out in a sense because he actually dies very shortly after. That's not called on your way out. On your way out is the person who's ill and dying. Those are your examples. People who are dying. This guy's not dying, he's just hanging from a tree.
Should I stop this now?
Yeah. I'm gonna take it. Back to